it's not just who I hope sees this and then maybe hires me. It's building these core elements up so that when you're off networking, someone introduces you, when they go check out your LinkedIn, what's there? What are those authority markers that they're going to go, oh, okay, I do want to have a conversation with this person.
Welcome to the Business Builders Playbook, the show that breaks down the systems and strategies behind predictable revenue growth to win in business. In each episode, we're diving into the proven strategies that separate the winners who scale from the losers who fail. This show is sponsored by BDR.ai, the AI-powered business development platform that automates your outbound prospecting so you can focus in on closing deals instead of chasing leads. Let's get started. Hey, welcome everybody. My name is David Bush, and I'm the co-owner of BDR.ai and the host of the Business Builders Playbook. And I'm so excited that I get a chance to interview my good friend, Jason Croft. I'm so excited you guys get a chance to really spend some time with an authority figure on how to create more authority, trust, credibility in the marketplace. Jason's the founder of Media Leads, and for 33 years, he's been a media veteran who's built video podcasts for seasoned coaches and consultants that grow their business from episode one. He's created a company he's created what he calls marketing gravity. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that means to create this market gravity and this gravitational pull towards getting more people to be attracted to what you're doing. But sit back and enjoy his experience and expertise, because he's going to wow you with some amazing ideas of how you can turn maybe some of these thoughts and dreams about creating this annuity stream of incoming opportunities and getting the fish to chase the boat, but not necessarily through being a guru influencer or a nonstop content creator on social media. He's going to show you how to do that. And so excited to jump in today, Jason.
Man, so glad to be here. Appreciate those kind words, David. Happy to have this conversation with you and for your audience. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, well, let's just go back, and we won't go through 33 years of experience, but what have you learned?
That's the deck I have. That's the deck I have. Day one, day by day, I'm gonna take everybody through.
It's the slideshow. This is your life, Jason.
That's right.
Ultimately, just want to make sure that everybody understands, where your credibility and authority comes from. So give us a little bit of that taste of the background of what got you to the point of where you're able to do this in such a way where you're creating a great demand for your services.
Absolutely. I've been in this media world, right? Certainly the 33 years, it seems like forever from the film, TV world to big events to corporate stuff that's taken me all over the world and crazy reality shows and wild animals and all that fun stuff around the world. And about 10 years ago now, I jumped in front of the camera to do this kind of thing for the first time. As a marketing initiative. Honestly, I was doing sales and marketing for a video production company and found the startup community where I was in Dallas and realized, oh, this is an amazing pool of folks. We've got all the stuff here. Why don't we do a show and bring these folks in and build those relationships a little bit? And, we had a 3-camera shoot in our studios there. We did 80-something episodes of that, of people coming in, and I learned so much in that. One thing I learned is that I absolutely loved this. I never done anything like it in my life. I was like, I'm going to do this forever. But it also, it worked. And through that show and the next show, I kept having these moments of, interviewing this multimillionaire or crazy successful person in this way or that way. And these little thoughts of, they know this is just a little YouTube show, right? With like no audience. And I realized it just didn't matter. And that was a big lesson, not only of using this platform this way as a marketing initiative, as a network building initiative, all of that, but also that the audience part, like building that, like that didn't have to ever happen. It certainly didn't have to happen before you got to have these conversations. So those were some of the highlights that got me to really focus on doing just this now that you talked about in there, because once I figured out this remote version as well and making that look really good and elevate the host, well, then I could go out and help so many different coaches, consultants, business owners, all that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of pieces that people can DIY themselves, right? I mean, you're not in a position where you're trying to convince everybody that, they have to use Jason Croft to get their show off the ground. I mean, that's one of the things that attracted me to want to talk to you is that I didn't feel like I was being sold something. You just were sharing your insights and your credibility and your perspective and your experience and expertise. And after hearing what it is that you had done and how you had put this together for so many other people, it just made sense that I wouldn't end up, starting from scratch and doing it all on my own. So for people that want to go out there right now and they want to design an authority engine that produces warm conversations weekly, for people that want to turn interviews into collaborations and predictable incoming pipeline opportunities, and people that want to take conversations and turn it into weeks of trust building content, what's the first place that you encourage people to start?
Well, to really support exactly what you just said, I've said this for years. Yes, I think the best mechanism to do this is a video podcast, because you can go and then turn that into so many other things. But you could take this same dynamic and the principles that we talk about today, and you could have it on a LinkedIn newsletter and do the same kind of thing. You could interview folks remotely, over the phone, you can do all these different things. So not only do you not have to hire me, but everyone should hire me. No, not only do you not have to hire me, you don't even have to do a video podcast. You can apply a lot of what we're talking about in these other areas. Um, First and foremost, to start is certainly where everyone should start, no matter what sales marketing initiative they're going after. Who you going after? Right? Know who you're talking to, because that's the beauty of what we're talking about today too. Is taking this idea that you can have a conversation with your ideal client, your strategic partner who has an audience of your ideal clients. Well, that doesn't work if you don't know who that ideal client is. So that, to me, that's always step one. There's a little bit of hand in hand, right? Of, hey, what am I good at? What do I do? How do I serve people? Making sure that's in there. And then who needs that, solving that problem. So just a core basic sales marketing business place to start is where you would start with this as well, in my opinion.
Mm. Well, let's just assume that there's people out there right now that they just feel like that they have a great offer, and they also have a calendar that's not as full as they want it to be. Where do you go in and diagnose first? I mean, would you be looking at their message, their target market, or the mechanism of delivery? What would be the typical analytics that you would run through to try to get somebody to make more conversions into conversations on the calendar?
Yeah, I start with, my mind always goes to differentiator. It's like I want that answer of, awesome, why you?
Mm,
Certainly, that's just the lens I look at things. That's why I build what I build for people. It's like, how can we take what you do and make it feel different? Because the folks I work with and so many people out there, they have their sphere of expertise. They
mm,
know what they're doing. That common pain point, and I certainly experienced it, was, man, I'm great at what I do. If people actually do work with me, they love me. They love what I do. I'm just not in front of enough people to get that in there. And so part of that's activity and getting in front of folks, but also part of that is that core messaging and finding that differentiator. I love, the play bigger mode of things, and finding that category of one out there. That, how can you be different? Do you have a proprietary process? And if you don't, or you don't think you do, let's dig in with that. And it's kind of maybe a weird place that people think like, hey, I want to talk to you about putting a podcast together. I'm like, cool, we can do that in a second. But I promise you, whether you do that ever or not, if you can get this in there, and that's the fun stuff, dude, that's the creatives. How do we make this feel and sound different than the 4,000 other coaches that are over there,
Right.
and at the same time be super clear, because those are the two poles, right? Trying to land in the middle, where when someone says like, "Oh, what do you do?" Well, I bring about the synergies from the inside of someone's, great. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And you don't want to be the flip. He's like, I'm a coach. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, we need something in the middle. So there's something I can grab onto, like, oh, that sounds familiar, but I've never heard that before. That's usually where I start with folks.
So if this show is resonating with you and you're ready to take action because you want to scale your business faster, smarter, with more AI and technology and less labor, check out BDR.ai. We help entrepreneurs and executive sales leaders to automate the grind of prospecting so you can focus your time on closing deals and growing revenue where you should be spending your time. With AI-powered data, digital outreach automation, and done-for-you prospecting systems, you'll connect with more qualified leads, book more appointments, and build predictable revenue without adding more hours to your week or the week of your staff. Visit BDR today and discover how our AI Prospect Finder and digital BDR agents can help you to build your pipeline and your profits. Visit BDR.ai, where business builders learn how to automate and scale their playbook. So do you have a simple framework that you can use to help our viewers today that are watching this, that are saying, hey, I want to clarify my positioning and I want to make sure that people see instant value from what it is that I bring into the marketplace? Is there anything that you're able to share quickly?
I don't, honestly. I go through a bunch of brainstorming and all of that one-off kind of things when I do this with folks. If someone wants to go explore that themselves, I certainly recommend Christopher Lochhead, his stuff, Play Bigger book. Go in there, and they dig into, becoming that, category king in there and finding that. And that'll get your brain turning in those directions, like, oh, okay, I understand. Like, I certainly don't want to be number three. You want to just own a category, and having just that mindset. Um, I wish I had a 1, 2, 3 framework for that for folks, but I don't.
Sure. And you said that was Christopher Latka?
Lochhead, Lochead, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, you talk a lot about turning conversations into clients. So what are the steps that you would encourage somebody to do if they got their video podcast or they've got their video newsletter or whatever they've got put together? What's the step from that, once you've got that growing and going, to actually turning that into book revenue?
Yeah. So the differentiator here from just, oh, I'll just go start a podcast, is twofold. One is the structure of the show itself, and then who you're having those conversations with. So building out a structure so that you are positioned well as this authority in what you do. And then also making sure that that show is put together in a way that no matter whoever listens and comes across this, they know exactly what you do, how you help people, why they should hire you, what makes you different. And we can bake those things in. You can bake those things into that. If you go and do this as a newsletter, you can bake those elements in, right, to your newsletter. Having that. And then secondly, these conversations. So instead of, oh, so and so's a big name, let's have them on. Well, it's not going to help your business, or just people I know, and we'll bring them on. Well, it's that focus on who is your ideal client. Let's bring them on, have those conversations. And you can really structure it around a conversation that is just like you'd want to have in a first get to know you conversation, to even find out, are they a potential client or not, and build that value. And what's great is the dynamic is that you're shining a spotlight on them. Hey, come be on the show. Come do that. Let's dig in. But it's also very important in these conversations that your authority in what you do comes out. And it's a nice little dance. It's a nuanced thing that, I'll work with my clients on over time, and we massage, because you certainly don't want it to feel like this sales interrogation. When they come on the show, it's like, I didn't sign up for this. What are you doing?
Right.
It really is a get to know you. But I think it's important if let's say you're a business coach and you you help people in a very specific kind of way of maybe getting over things, mental blocks in their head, or maybe you're a coach who helps with HR training. You're a consultant that goes in there. Well, let's construct a certain line of questioning around that so you can talk about that and it comes up. And then go even further. You could talk about industry norms. What's going on right now in this specific way? What are you experiencing? Oh, awesome. I'm experiencing that too. My clients are experiencing. And you have to get kind of purposeful with this. And it's doing the reps, it's having these conversations. But if you're an experienced coach, consultant, and you're having these conversations anyway, we're just kind of turning on the camera while you have them to an
Mhm.
extent, but it's bringing that out. And it's really then awesome. We had this great time. They felt amazing. They see you as a peer or above. And now the stage is set for that follow up.
Mm.
Follow up when after the show is, the interview's done, after it goes live, and build those. Hey, we talked about this that you were going on. Here's something that came to mind. You have these openings to kind of build and have that conversation. So certainly those with potential clients, and then it's a phenomenal tool for strategic partners. People who already have an audience of your ideal clients. Shine a spotlight on them. The dynamics very similar. You want to, you get a chance to go and talk to all of their folks or get those referrals or introductions.
Nice. So let's say that somebody's out there right now and they've got zero audience. What's a typical 30-day plan that you would use to implement to get them some additional authority without having to go out there and buy a bunch of fancy stuff and put a bunch of money out before they get started? Anything that would just come to mind?
Yeah, just start a show of their own and kind of start doing this dynamic.
Or anything that would basically move them forward. I mean, people are getting to the point right now where they're just like, what am I going to do that's going to help me to build trust, credibility, and authority and to generate some opportunities in the next 30 days without spending a small fortune and starting at ground zero and building this, media empire behind me?
Yeah, so there are stages of this. You can certainly do a cheap version of just a show, podcast, simple mic, record on Zoom, get this stuff out there. You can even take it a step before that, and you can start to have these conversations around, hey, I am thinking about doing a show. I would love to know if this is something that would resonate. Could we get on a call? You can start to have those conversations, even if you're not ready to commit all the way and jump into this full production of a thing. You can kind of build it as this test case and start to feel out. Oh, wow. I never would have had that conversation if it wasn't under this, kind of framework and it kind of
Mhm.
teed up that way. And wow, they either became a client or they recommended me the three people. And so you'll start to get the feeling of this. And then it may be, I'm just gonna keep doing this. Or it may be, if I really kind of turn this into something that felt even more legitimate, well then not only maybe you have better conversations, maybe you bring in maybe bigger names within your industry that means something to your industry. Or it's simply that, you kind of keep going and now if you do take that next step and do it, now you have content out there that you can put in front of more. That's the expanding part. But even if you just stayed 30 days, 60 days having those conversations, that's the biggest thing because I think we all want to find that way, just having more of this, right? Without and to get around what everyone's experiencing is like as soon as you message someone, they're feeling like, yeah, I don't want any, no thanks, you know, and that's what I'm always looking for. Is like, how do I get around some of that just so I really do just want to have a conversation right now. And it's tough for the folks who have great intentions to get around and do that. And so those are the newest. I mean, I know that you're great at that, finding those ways to get in front of more folks like that, and that messaging that resonates. It's like it's non-threatening, it's human. That's the key.
Yeah. I think the simplest thing that I would say is, most of us have people out there that have our clients as their clients, but we don't have them as clients yet, right? We have people out there that are already working with the people that we would like to work with as clients, and they already have trust, credibility, and authority with them. And so if you just went out to those people and you invited them into an interview styled conversation on Zoom and recorded it, once you've got that recorded, if you share that on YouTube, social media, and you give people some props on social media and you make them look good, they're going to be a lot more open to referring business to you and to maybe even using your services themselves. So, simple version of it. But let's talk a little bit about interview format and question flow. What have you found generates the most qualified leads? Do you have a template that you recommend or a model that you use?
Not usually a tip, but the model I would say is certainly how I construct these shows these days, which is really talking around a core topic rather than what we typically see. And I did in the early days is a very much, oh yeah, tell me about your story. And then what'd you do? And then what did you do? Oh, that's cool. We fall into that dynamic, especially if you're interested in somebody. You want to hear their story and how they came up and all that. And instead, we really build these around, again, back to what's your expertise, certainly what's that guest's expertise. And hey, let's have a conversation that's two experts talking about this core topic going on right now. And of course, during that interview, we're going to get context. We're going to get that guest's background. Hey, what are you working on now? What's great? What's awesome? Why are you awesome? We're going to cover those things. But now both the audience gets a chance to experience your expertise, the host, as well as the guest. But also that guest realizes they just had a conversation. They're getting into the nitty gritty of a core topic that they're an expert in, that is going on in their business right now with another expert. Again, that's the dynamic that leads to those partnerships or them potentially hiring you.
Yeah. Well, I think all of us could be guilty that we've all created content that didn't really convert into revenue. So what's the difference between authority content and activity content?
I think it's getting that expertise across. It's such a fine line to go out and teach everything or here's the concepts, here's why I'm awesome. We're not saying that at all. There's a great way to still make that audience, if you're just creating solo content, a way to make them, hey, this is for you. And that's the biggest thing to keep in mind. This is for you. Hey, I came across this the other day, or I'm working with my clients. It's those subtle things that you can add in there while you're teaching concepts. And there's just a subtle difference between we've all experienced them where there's like, hey, I read this thing in a book yesterday and I'm going to say it to you now as though I know it. There's that. Or there's, we just hit this roadblock in our company the other day or with my client. And here's how we figured out a way to get around that. You could take these
Mhm.
concepts. And I think that's the difference of just kicking stuff out or being really purposeful with, again, back to that ideal client. What do they need right now? What's going to trigger in their mind? Oh, that's going to solve my problem. Trigger those things and then have you like who they're consuming that from. All right, this person knows what they're talking about.
Well, I know that, there's people out there that have more time than they have money. And for those people, the DIY model might be a better fit. there's also people out there that have more money than time, and that's the ones that are going to typically outsource this. So, how much time are people looking at to try to pull this off if they're going to do it on their own? And then how much time would they need to invest if they had a person like Jason Croft helping them?
Yeah. So on your own, think about it in terms of, I guess, in a couple of sections, three different sections. So one, just the creation. Let's say you're doing a video podcast. There's the creation. You're gonna take some time, 30 days, something to really build that brand, build the assets. What am I calling this thing? How am I structuring this? What do I need to get put in place? And then there's the middle part of these interviews, like we've been talking about, and you can do the math on that in terms of 30-minute conversations, hour-long conversations, however many you're going to do per week. Let's say you're going to kick out 4 episodes a month. There's those 4 hours. Really, then it's the post-production that's the most difficult on the DIY aspect a little bit. If you don't have that background at all, um, variations there. Certainly, I'm just going to kick this out, and that's better than sitting on 100 episodes and never getting it out, for sure.
Yeah.
Or you can, piecemeal this stuff too. Maybe it's finding someone on Fiverr. Hey, can you just put an intro and outro on this and throw this out for me? Finding something like that. And then that third part is distribution. So then it's that piece. So okay, I've got this. Where am I gonna put it? I'm gonna put it on YouTube. I'm gonna put it on these podcast channels, and ideally, again, spending that time, spending a couple hours per episode, creating those reels from it, because that's where you're going to see the most traction, and you're going to get that currency from that ideal client who's on, as well as by throwing out these reels on LinkedIn and things like that. Um,
What would you say would be the appropriate follow-up after you had done a interview with somebody? How many social media posts and how many videos and things would you say would be appropriate after each interview to share on social media to make sure that you get the juice for the squeeze?
yeah, at least four, and you can kind of. I usually, I like to have a couple of reels per episode, a couple of static posts or static image, and post, unique content text going along with those on each one, driving back to that main episode. But of course, I say of course, but you know, make sure you're tagging that guest, and that's the biggest part of this. Have them see that you're promoting them. And that's another piece that's really interesting too, as you create these, that I've found has been, or guests have been really impressed, even if they don't ever go and use them. They're very, very impressed when you create high quality, thumbnail, social image, these reels, or oh wow, and that's delivered, handed to them. Here's some text copy for them as well. That goes a long way, uh, in building that relationship.
Yeah. Anything that you would say about, we work with a lot of people that are trying to build up their LinkedIn presence, and their online presence is oftentimes shaped by their LinkedIn profile. Is there anything that you would say would be like a credibility killer or a really credibility enhancer that people can do with um, content that can drive up their authority and their trust and credibility with the prospect?
Yeah, I'm trying to think beyond sort of the basics, certainly, of high quality, images across the board, stuff that I know you help them with and teach, and having that header and bio. I think having some kind of ongoing authority play, whether you go all the way what we're talking about today and having a show and you show up on a regular basis with that, or a LinkedIn newsletter that is branded and thought through, and these are the three pillars that I talk about on a regular basis. It's that
Mhm.
consistency in posting. Again, it goes back to, it's not just who I hope sees this and then maybe hires me. It's building these core elements up so that when you're off networking, someone introduces you, however you get in front of somebody, when they go check out your LinkedIn, which is, it's not if, when they go check out your LinkedIn profile, what's there, right? What are those authority markers that they're going to go, oh, okay, I do want to have a conversation with this person, right? In finding those pieces. And that is having those thoughtful posts. Maybe you have them in your feature section. Maybe you have this newsletter that they can just kind of skim and like, oh, okay, they talk about this really. They seem to know what they're doing. Maybe it's interviews with leaders in that same industry that person's in. Oh, wow. It's
Mm.
screenshots in your header of those if there's recognizable folks within your industry. All those little markers just at a quick glance can make a big difference.
Nice. So, as we kind of bring in things to a close, what would you say would be a really good follow-up strategy after you did an interview with somebody that you think is a good referral partner or prospect to turn that interview into potential future opportunities?
Yeah, it's having a clear reason for that follow-up and bringing them a solution. Even if it's a little solution, it's a brainstorm. It's this was really, I was thinking about this after our interview. I kept, it just kept, grabbing on me that, it reminded me of this client that we worked with. We went in and did this. I don't know if you're experiencing something like this, but we went in and they were having this problem. We jumped in, we did this. Is that something that, you ever struggled with? Finding some kind of lead in like that? Because just in doing the show, there's inherent follow-up anyway. So they're open. They're going to you've built a relationship. You've talked for 30 minutes or an hour. You've started a relationship. They're open to having this back and forth now. Because you're going to follow up. Okay, that interview was great. The next week it comes out. Hey, it's out. People are loving it. Another week, maybe, even if you haven't followed up with like business, so you can have either that kind of follow up that is, hey, I was thinking about this for your business. Do you have 20 minutes to hop on a call and kind of talk through this? Or it may be, do you know anybody who needs this, and this? Can we hop on a call and maybe they're going to recommend you, or maybe they discover in that call they need you. Some kind of follow up like that is really purposeful and good.
That's great. Well, talk to us a little bit more about what Media Leads is doing to make this process simpler for people. I want to make sure that people understand you're helping me with this process currently, and I'm enjoying it tremendously. You're giving me great guidance. It's not overbearing, it's not overwhelming, and it's basically something that is coming together in a matter of weeks. And it's probably could have gone faster if I probably pressed the foot down to the accelerator, but I've just been enjoying the pace of how things have been developing. So, how can others benefit from what you're doing?
Absolutely. Yeah, we jump in. This is really our specialty of video podcast for this reason, to grow your business for sure. Um, and that process working with us really starts off, we kind of covered that, right? What are we going to start with? We dig into that strategy. And those are the questions we jump in first. Why are you doing this in the first place? What are you hoping to gain? And make sure that every decision we make, from the logo we have, the positioning, the guest you're going to bring on, and how we structure that show is in line with what you're hoping to gain. At a common level, certainly people are going, I want more clients. That's the most common, of course. Other folks maybe they're in a position, they need to go raise funding. So we're going to go along the way. That's a very different approach, right? And we could have a show structured around something like that. So, but finding that, it's usually more clients. So who are those? Let's structure this show, everything from, what are we going to call this thing? To the branding of your either personal brand or business brand wrapped into that show. And then how are we going to build this up? And we'll create all that stuff for you. Have that back and forth like you've experienced. Hey, I'm thinking this for the look and this for the look, and we try to get as much just yes, no. in here. It's not, hey, here's a bunch of homework to go figure out. We jump on a call, so we have that strategy session. I want to get in your head and understand where you are with all this stuff, and then everything's on me to come back and go, you like this? No, yes, this. It makes it easier on you on that time commitment, and then it just becomes figuring out those monthly cadence of when you want to interview and kicking those episodes out. Because on the back end too, we're putting these things together from a post-production aspect as well.
That's fantastic. So, best place to find you to get more details, Jason Croft Show.
You can go to thejasoncroft.com. That'll have all. I can send you off to the agency that can show the shows I'm doing, client shows, all that fun stuff.
Fantastic. Well, Jason, thanks so much for all you're doing for us and for all you're doing to make the world a better place through and all the video work that you're doing and helping people navigate through this process that can sometimes feel a little overwhelming. But with good guidance and good support and good coaching, you'll get through those hard decisions that you have to make, like, refining your target market and getting specific about your artwork and your, branding information. So all of that stuff, Jason does a great job. So be sure to check out thejasoncroft.com and get more details. So thanks so much for joining up with me and for being a guest on our show.
Thanks so much, David.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Builders Playbook. If this episode gave you some plays that you can start running in your business today, hit subscribe and share with another revenue leader who's tired of the pipeline grind. Building predictable revenue isn't something you figure out alone. Whether you're looking to automate your prospecting with BDR.ai, or you just want to talk through the growth challenges you're facing, reach out. We help business leaders just like you to build systems that actually scale. And if you're ready to stop being your company's highest paid prospector, let's have a conversation. Reach out to us at BDR.ai. Until next time, let's keep building.